And we're live.
Hello, I'm John Idelson, Professor Emeritus at California State University, and I also serve on the nominating committee for CUE. And today we're talking with candidates who are running for the board of that outstanding organization. The nominating committee hopes these discussions will help you make an informed decision on that important valid vote you'll be casting for your CUE board of directors. So let's start. Hello, Bob. I want to start with just what's your full name, your title, and what was your first experience with CUE?
Sure. I'm Bob Pletka, and I'm the superintendent of Fullerton School District. And as far as my first, in fact, I think it was late 90s, and I was a teacher at David Brown Middle School. And a whole group of us went over to CUE, and I remember going through the workshops, and then afterwards at lunch, we went over, there was a little Mexican restaurant right behind the convention center there in Palm Springs. And then literally for about an hour and a half nonstop, we were like, oh, we're going to do this, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do that. And I just remember the energy that was there in the room and like carrying forward. And then just most recently, I had a chance, actually it was the first day of the conference had come. Next day, a lot of us woke up early. We're actually in the courtyard, and everybody was there having coffee, and everybody was talking about the day before and the keynote speaker. And there was just this energy, and it was great. There were principals there, we had some teachers there, and just all kind of sharing about like, what do we want to do, and what's the next thing to kind of bring things forward in our district for our kids.
I think those CUE meetings really are, sort of the heart. But just a follow-up, what's your favorite hashtag from a CUE conference?
Let's see, from the CUE conference, probably just the general one. I remember last year or 2 years ago, we had the math one, and they had a great math speaker that came in, and we all tweeted out based on that conference.
Sounds like fun. So could you tell me a little bit more about yourself and what led you to want to serve on the board of CUE?
Sure. I have 6 kids. They range from ages 20 up to 30, and all through the years when I was teaching, and even now, I'll bring home a technology and I'll say, hey, can you try this and play with this a little bit and give me some feedback about what you think about it, especially when they were younger. And I remember my one daughter, Claire, at 12, and anything I wanted to do in my classroom with my kids, I would always kind of ask her and say, what do you think about this? And that kind of talking with kids. And even now, in fact, just yesterday, I had eight students, and I was sitting down with them. We were talking about personalized learning and kind of the ecosystem of technologies that we have for that. And they were sharing, like, what's the power of technology and how we can empower them. And what's great about kids is they're brutally honest about what they want and what they expect and what they hope from all of us. And so I think in terms of why I'm interested, ultimately I'm interested in kids and empowering them. And I think there's 2 approaches sometimes in terms of technology. One is kids can just be consumers of information. You can give them, I'm dating myself, but the old math blaster thing. And so, yeah, I mean, those are kind of skills piece, but really looking to say, you know what, technology can do more than simply hone up on skills, but you can actually give kids the tools that practitioners, that scientists, artists, writers use, and then you can turn them loose, and then they can be creators of content and culture and knowledge. And if we do this right in education, we give them these tools, literally we can open up entire worlds for them. And so for me, the power of the technology is really to say what we can do to help kids have a voice in this world, to pursue what's passionate and what they're interested in. I think the other thing that I remember is my one son, all 6 kids had varying experiences in school, and I remember he was struggling with mathematics and kind of just really down on school. And I remember thinking, what is it that we need to do? What is it I need to do as a father? What do we need to do in education to kind of reignite his passion and interest? And he was actually a really good writer. And so instead of kind of like totally getting down on him because he's struggling with mathematics, it was really to say, as a father, what can I do to help put him in a position to pursue his passion in education and connect him to other writers? And I think for me, one of the things that I want to do now is those are the things experiences I had with my own children because I loved them and cared for them and want to do everything I can to give them opportunities. And it's like, I want to do that now as an educator and as a superintendent. I want to do that and make sure that our kids have the tools they need to pursue the things that they're best at, and also to open up those worlds. But I think also that for teachers, we want to empower teachers. Too often in technology, sometimes it's almost dehumanizing. We'll say, oh, you can't do that. We lock down your devices. We lock down all your websites. We say that, in fact, sometimes we even make it worse. We'll flood the network with some new application that we're downloading. And so the plan that the teacher had intended to put in place, suddenly they can't do it because the entire network is being saturated with bandwidth. So part of what I think we need to do, whether we're a teacher, whether a principal or superintendent, is what do we need to do to empower each other, empower the teachers to ultimately impact our kids. And so, what does that look like? Well, for sure, it's a good ecosystem, and that ecosystem is, it's bandwidth for sure. It's professional development. It's a support. It's technical support. It's teachers on special assignment that go in and actually work with teachers on projects and with kids. It's also policies that allow teachers to access those resources and not shut them down so much that they can't even do the intended purpose for the technology. So I think for me, a lot of the things is how do we empower people and how do we connect them? One other piece that I remember in my doctorate program, they were talking, it was a study they did, and the study was on of a new teacher or a teacher trying technology for the first time. And surprisingly, or at least surprising to me, was that some of the teachers talked about feeling isolated. I mean, the irony of being able to connect with everybody and feeling isolated because as they were trying and struggling and working hard, they actually felt disconnected from others. And so what I want to do is to say, with the technology, how do we connect? If it's a teacher who's trying for the very first time, trying some technology, what do we do to say, you know what? Here's a whole community of people that can support you and guide you, and those that have maybe done this before, and how do we do that? So I think it's empowering our new teachers, but then also those that are leading the way, and say, how do we connect them, and how do we help them find their tribe that will be able to be the leaders and to support them. So those are some of the things I'm really excited about doing if I was selected.
So you actually started going to some of the issues of my third question, which is what is the greatest challenge or some of the great challenges we have in education today? And how do you think CUE and the CUE leadership team can help meet some of those challenges?
I think one of the challenges that we have is that we have a time-based system. And it's funny, people say education is broken. And I always say, education is working exactly as it was designed to do. And it was designed to be time-based. And back in 1906, when they were looking and they said, hey, let's standardize education across this country. They didn't standardize it based on achievement or learning. They actually literally based on the Carnegie unit and said, all kids are going to have this amount of time. And in some cases, by doing that, instead of personalizing opportunity and learning and allowing kids that are ready to accelerate to do that, or kids who need extra time to get extra help, we created a system that literally learning is almost an extra piece. And so what do we need to do? In some cases, I think address the time-based piece to say, you know what, in our classrooms and in our schools and in our educational system, let's make it based on what kids know and allow kids to move forward. And technology can be a true disruptor in this area and allow our teachers to really do something they've never been able to do, which is to say, when kids are ready to move forward, let them do that. And if they want to go deeper, if they love the arts, or they love STEM, or they love coding, let's let them do that. And they can pursue that. And so we really can not just differentiate, but personalize learning for all of these kids based on their interest, their mastery level, and the supports that they need. And so what can CUE do? I think in some cases, it's not only identifying technologies, but systems that go along with that to say, how can we better personalize learning for kids to do great things and not be stuck at the same place with every other kid, because quite honestly, every child is different. And so that's one of the things I'm looking forward to doing, and hopefully addressing that challenge. But I think there's other challenges too. As many districts and schools that have gone one-to-one, we have many districts and many schools that don't. Just the basic access in terms of a one-to-one device for every child. And it's not just access in school. If we really want kids to be able to pursue what they are passionate about and what they're dreaming about and what they want to do, it's 24/7 access. It's being able to take that device home. And it's not just the device. Now it's the network. And so for them to be able to, if they want to connect up with a mentor in the area of science, school, that they have the ability to do that. So equity continues to be a challenge, and it needs to be addressed. And we need to have systematic ways to do that. Just one example. If we have Title I students who don't have internet at home, we can actually check out hotspots to them that they can take home, just like they check out textbooks, and just like they check out devices, they can also check out basically a wireless network that they can access at home. So equity is a challenge, and it needs to be addressed so that the gap doesn't get further widened.
Yeah, those are some of the challenges, and hopefully CUE and the CUE leadership and the whole country can address those. First, I want to thank you on behalf of the nominating committee for the leadership you've already shown for CUE. And I want to then thank you for taking this next step of running for the CUE board. It's an organization that needs the support of great educators like yourself. Sorry about that bell there, but caught by the bell. Thank you for watching. For those people watching, please be sure to watch the other candidate interviews. Make sure your CUE membership is current, and please remember to vote between March 18th and April 20th. The voting closes at 5 p.m. Pacific time on the 20th. And Bob, again, thank you for running, and thank you for this interview.
Appreciate it. Thanks.